Okay guys, as I said, e-power, box and atomizer. Now we'll pop the atomizer to one side for a minute. We'll have a look, see what comes in the box. So let's just remove the top, and there you can see the e-power itself and the nice standard foam casing. We've got a little subsection of the box, and inside here, springing out at me like a coiled cobra, is the charge lead. Standard USB affair. Multi-charging head, iPhone 4, 5 and standard mini USB type debris. We'll be testing the charging capabilities later. You also get a nice little e-power bag, which I thought was quite a nice touch. The instructions, or instructions as they're called in normal people's language. And what I thought was a nice touch is, it is clearly a fingerprint magnet, very shiny. Two sort of screen protector-y things, which you can apply and stop it getting scratched, I suppose. Cutouts for something I will show you just now. Let's pop them all back in the box for a second, just over there. And let's have a look at the device itself. It's quite small. In comparison to, say, well, an MVP, we all know how big they are. So pop that out, and there you have it, the e-power itself. USB and mini USB. The mini one is for charging the device, the USB is for actually charging something from the device. 510 connection is underneath this little doobry here. That is held on only with a bit of magnets and is actually a one-piece moulded bit of plastic with shiny inlays. I thought that was a little bit cheap myself, but then it is from China and is cutting costs. 510 atomizer, some sort of metal on the side here. I presume it's a very light, cheap aluminium, and I'm presuming a Perspex top with the very shiny inlay. As you can see, it is a fingerprint magnet. It is very, very shiny. And you're probably hearing dogs barking now. Thank you very much, Oswald. Keep it quiet. Never work with children or animals, eh guys? So there you have it. That's the device itself. Now, I received this atomizer with the device, and it's a sort of EVOD type affair. Very simple bottom coil device. Very similar to ProTank 2 head. It is a 2.2 ohm head, and of course pops in and out just like the ProTank and EVOD style affairs. I presume it's going to have roughly the same capacity of an EVOD, and you know what, I quite like that brushed stainless finish against the top there. Oh, that's quite nice. So let's get in, fill them up with juice. I'm using my current favourite menthol at the moment, and let's get some juice down in there. There we go. A very large window, which I think is very good, but of course the real proof is in the vaping. So I'll let that stand there a minute and soak up and see if we get any leakage from the bottom. And let's have a quick look through the instructions. It has 6 voltages indicated by colour, as you can see here. Now, to turn it on, you have to do multiple clicks, I believe. I think it's 5 on, 5 off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's, yeah, that's the voltage change. So 5 clicks is for the voltage change. So that nice sort of turquoisey blue there, that's the lowest voltage. which is 3 volts. That's lighter green is 3.3, 3.7, 4.2, 4.6 and 5 volts. I like quite a high voltage, so I leave it there. Now let's turn the damn thing off, shall we? It won't fire, or it's not recommended for firing below 2.2 ohms, and will not fire under, I think, 2 ohms, if memory serves. It's got an overtime vaping protection. In other words, it's got a cut off at 10 seconds, and the button will flash 10 times. To obviously reset that, just let go of the button and start again. It has a short circuit protection, where the light will flash 8 times when either you're running too low in ohms. And it won't fire below 2 ohms. And I'm still trying to find this turn off. Right, so it is a 5-click. Still voltage. That's voltage selection. And again, see, it's very difficult to turn on and off. No, still voltage selection. Okay, let's have a proper. This is getting very frustrating. Right, it is how you turn it off. 5 presses, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, flashing. Hold down for 2 seconds and it will flash like that, and it's now off. There we go. So you've got to press it 5 times, hold it down for 2 seconds. Once it's in the voltage selection mode, it will flash very quickly for a few seconds, and then it's off. As you can see, no light. Let's turn, oh god, turn it back on, and there we are. We're back on. 5 clicks and back on, so there we are. Right, let's have a look at this atomizer. Screw that onto the top there. Definitely got action. That's at 5 volts on 2.2 ohms. Oh my god, that tastes awful. Okay. Oh god. That is absolutely terrible. That is a waste of juice. Okay, I think I'm going to test, well, I think we can safely say, okay, let's try a different voltage. We'll go through the voltages, give it a fair test. That is now on the 3 volt selection. Barely tasteable at all. 3.3. That's palatable. Yeah, that's doable. Not bad vapor production off it either, actually. Okay. 3.7. That's a bit better. 4.2. Palatable. 4.6. That's starting to get burnt. So 4.6 and 5 volts on a 2.2 ohm ATI, not recommended. So I'm going to pop that back onto the 3.7 volt setting because I found that to be most palatable. Yeah, that's not bad at all. Okay, so that atomizer isn't too bad after all. Just keep it on lower voltages. Might actually set that back down to 3.3. Okay, so we can charge our phone off of this device. Let's find the charger. USB port there, and by God, that's actually a really tight fit in there. Now, I myself am an iPhone user, and I have the 4. Pop that in there, and there you go. You can see it's charging away quite happily now. And some notifications from various people. I don't know how long it will last, so we'll probably come back and see how long that charge will last to charge this, how far it goes. I believe this is the 2200 milliamp hour battery. Yep, because you get another one with an 1800 milliamp hour battery, as denoted on the side here. But yeah, we'll go away, we'll come back, see how long it takes to charge my phone up from 24% on this battery, and then we'll apply the little doobries and we'll pop it in the bag, and we'll just mention that again. Next time it's back up to the old face up here. I'm very sorry, my hands are way pretty. See you in a second. Just before we go back up to my face, I've just tried applying the anti-scratch mask, and I've got to admit it was actually a hell of a lot easier than I thought it would be. So we'll peel off the first mask, and I'll do it the way I was doing it just a minute ago, which is to the side. With this wire in the way, it might be a touch difficult. Now let's have a quick look. Let's get a polish on that so we have a nice finish to look at underneath. Oswald, and let's just get in on this. Sorry if my head's in the way, by the way. And there we go. Goes on rather easily, actually, I thought. We'll just lickle off there. Thing with these things is to take your time, I always find, and just, you know, gently do it every time. If you get an air bubble, peel back a little bit. So we've got a little air bubble there. I think that's actually a bit of hair. And just press down around it. I'm not going to be using this. Mrs. Fury will want the hair. That is a hair. We can take that off and reapply later. And they do go on quite simply, that easy. Let's just, what was I using here? Just using my comb just to get that on. Work them bubbles out. I thought that went on really quite well. And second mask off. And that's actually quite, it almost repels fingerprints, and the first one went on so much easier. I'm really quite impressed with that, actually, to be fair, as a nice little afterthought. You know, it is going to be a fingerprint magnet. Let's put some protectors on it to stop it getting scratched. So I like that. That's a great little touch. Alright, finally back up to the face. Okay, so there you have it, the e-Power. What do we think of it? Overall, I think it's quite a nice little thing. Very good for the ladies of the family, so to speak, who don't particularly want to carry out a massive device and have a nice little doobry that you can just drop into the handbag, so to speak. I've been using it for about a day now, but with my own eVods. The battery's lasted quite well. I've not noticed any drop off, but I do think it works best if you're using eVods and high ohm coils on the middle voltage settings, because if you go above the what was it, 4.7 and 5 volts, horrible, horrible burn, and it's too much. That atomizer doesn't. It's not brilliant. I think I might actually just drop that down again. And light green, which I think was 3.3 volts as opposed to 3.7. It's all right. It's okay. I mean, let's look at it for what it is. It's a variable voltage with set voltages. It's trying to emulate the MVP, which is an amazing device. And I think if you just want something small for at work or in the car, that's USB chargeable, and obviously you can get your little 12 volt adapters now that can accommodate these. Obviously make sure you buy it from a reputable source and that it has got the correct current to charge with, otherwise you're just going to ask for trouble. And bearing in mind this is a self-contained battery, there is no removable serviceable parts. If you want it for just the car, or on your desk at work, or if you're allowed to vape at work, or like maybe I'll be using it whilst I'm sat on my computer, doing stuff, this would be the thing for me to have. I think Mrs. Fury's planning on stealing this, so she's quite enamoured with it. It's satisfying enough for me. Obviously I'm a cloud chaser now, I'm using rebuildable dripping atomizers, and obviously when I'm sub-ohming I'm using 30 amp draw batteries which deliver a lot of power safely, and I'm used to a much bigger cloud and a lot better flavour. I would go about seeing if you can get some proper Pro Tank 2 heads for that, because it certainly deliver a better flavour, probably even better vapour as well. But it is certainly doing the job. Overall build quality, I'd like to see that little puck attached better and made out of the same materials. Whereas the magnets do keep it on, and I walked into town today, which is a good 2 to 3 mile walk, with it in a cargo pocket on my trousers by my knee, and obviously I walk at a very brisk pace. And it did actually manage to stay on, but I can see if you're going to have it permanently set up somewhere, you're going to lose that easily. So, in the box or in the bag if you don't want to lose it. That is a true 10-second cut off, by my count at least anyway. And oh, yes, phone charging. Took about 2.5 hours to dump in up to 85%. So that's not bad. It is good if you needed mobile, I mean, even if that's what you just use it for, a mobile emergency charge source, which also doubles as an e-cig. Would I recommend going out and buying one? Yes, actually I would. For those who don't want a massive device, but still can't be fagged with piddly little egos, and want something that delivers a bit more power, then yeah, that's the market I think this is aimed at. It is rather twee. I do like it on appearance value. It feels nice in the hand. It's not heavy, but it's not light either. You're not going to breathe on it and it's going to fall over. It's not very stable stood up, but then I probably lay it down on its side, I expect. Obviously you can't use a lanyard with it, but the little thoughts that came with it as well, like the bag and the anti-scratch protection, those are good little thoughts, and that does come in the box. I would say use a proper ego on it, because this atomizer, yeah, it's not brilliant, but it ain't crap either. I mean, obviously this is the atomizer I was sent with it. Yeah, I think there are going to be people out here who will want one of these. It's not exactly top of the range tech, but then it ain't shit either. There is a market for these. and I think if it's aimed at those markets specifically, it will do well. So where do you get it from? Well, I was given this for the purpose of review by Jamie over at Vape Swag. He's available currently only through his Facebook page, which of course there will be a little link here and one below. He also does a wicked range of juices. I'm currently on my personal favourite, which I believe is called Carillion, very Star Wars inspired. And I can highly recommend Order 66, which is a lovely custard. So yeah, if you fancy one of these for yourself, get along to Vape Swag, following the link below. There is a website coming, but he's not had a lot of time to work on that as yet, but as soon as I know that the website's up, I will let you know either through the Twitter or the Justvapes social groups. Now let's get down to overall scores. Build quality. I was expecting real poor, shitty Chinese build quality. It's actually not that bad. I'm going to score it above middle of the road for what is essentially a large variable voltage ego. It's quite tidy, it's nice, it's pretty, very shiny, fingerprint magnet. But what really lets it down is that dust cap. It's just a solid piece of plastic, tarted up of course, but it is still a solid piece of plastic, so that's going to drop it down a bit. You've got the charge light and the charging light, and obviously it's red when it's charging, both cases charging a device or being charged itself, and blue when it itself is charged. They're quite visible. It's relatively easy to use once you figure out the switching off technique. So get it into the voltage selection, press and hold for 2 seconds, it's off, and then 5 clicks on. A little bit convoluted, but it feels nice and clicky. It's not overly wobbly in its casing. 510's well solid. Obviously it's got Ego and EVOD threading as well. Sorry, it's got EVOD threading, you know, proper little 510, and it's got the internal 510 connection threading as well. I am going to give it 7 out of 10 on build quality. That really lets it down for me, I think. Just a solid piece of plastic. Tank, if this is the one that comes with it, I will say it needs improvement. That wick needs to be improved. It's not the best wick in the world. The coil seems sound. It's taken 5 volts from it, no problem, but it does make the juice bloody awful. So run it at the lower voltages. I'm preferring the, I think it's 3.3 volts with this particular coil. When you hit the 4 volts, then that's when you're going to start getting that level of burnt taste, I think. So the tank is pretty, again, it's nice. It's got a really large window. I do like that. It's a really, really good addition, so you can clearly see what level of juice you're at. It's the coil that lets it down. It's the exact same build as an EVOD, just without the quality of an EVOD, so I'm going to give that again a 7 out of 10 overall. And for overall functionality and use, it's not simple, to say the least. There is a learning curve with it. It's not very steep, but you do have to try and decipher some fairly okay Chinglish. So overall, I'm going to give it 7 7's 14. Functionality, I'm going to give it another 7 again, I think. So what's that? 7, 14, 21 out of a possible 30. That's not too bad, actually. I recommend it for people who want something a bit different from an EVOD. So it's for a starter moving into 2nd generation, really, I think. And it's a good starting point for 2nd generation variable voltage, variable wattage devices. Just be careful with those high voltages. So yeah, 21 out of 30. Well done, E-Power. I haven't slated you completely. To be fair, after discussing with some other people who are a bit better at this sort of thing than me, there was general chortlements of mirth and merriment. But you know what, guys? Actually, I don't think it's that bad. From a beginner's point of view, it's a good step up. From somebody in my point of view, it's not something I would go back to unless I'm driving or possibly, you know, doing something where I don't need to think about how I'm vaping or what I'm vaping on. It's grab, fire, suck, blow. Simple. Real nice. I like it. So there you go. That was the E-Power. I've been the Fury79. This has been the E-Power review for Vape Swag. Again, in the description below there will be a link to his Facebook page. If you fancy one of those, get hold of him, let him know. I think they're about 28 quid or something like that, and you do get everything that you've seen in the box. Atomizer I'm not so sure about, but I will put that on as an addendum, probably here, calling myself an idiot again. I've been Fury79. You as always have been gorgeous. Peace.